One person at a time. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. During declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants are automatically muted on entry. Pardon me. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you've called in with the phone number that you were originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. To ensure audio clarity, I suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function on your telephones. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto was covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Nadini Sankar Peralta, Ron Hunt, Asif Khan, and Paul Kidd. City staff are also present: Brendan Clapp, Jenny Kotas, and Simon Lamb. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if desired. If the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak on the item. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you reach the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent proceeds first and will make their presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, are invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers. This marks the end of discussion on the item. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. Are there any committee members here this afternoon who have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare? There being none, thank you. We have a deferral request that we have to deal with first, and that's item number 23 for Denver Crescent. I have 2 people registered to speak on that item. I'll just ask.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I have Ida Evangelista as the agent. Are you there, madam?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. I, Evangelista, I am here present.
Thank you, madam. I understand that you're requesting a deferral. Can you give the committee the rationale for the deferral?
Most definitely, Mr. Chair. The reason why we're asking for a deferral is planning staff had some concerns with the height. We did address the comments. We did revise the plans, but they still had, further concerns. Not to mention, I met with the neighbor at number 2 Denver, and she also has some concerns with the height. So we're asking for a deferral to allow us time to make changes. Unfortunately, we have to do a redesign of the house. So we just need a little bit of time to basically go back to the drawing board and bring the house down a little bit more to, for the neighbor at 2 Denver and also for planning staff.
So if I could summarize then, it's for to make revisions to the application for neighborhood consultation. Are you also going to meet with city planning?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll just ask the committee, does the committee have any questions? Oh, I have one other person registered to speak on this application, Miss Emma Wang. Are you there? Emma Wang, are you there?
Mr. Chair, they do not appear to be present.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I tried contacting Ms. Wang by phone and I did not get an answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lamb. Okay.
However, sorry if I may, Mr. Chair, there is a Hui Wang present. I'm not sure if they're related to this item, but we could check in with them.
Okay, thank you. Hello, I have someone who wished to speak on this item?
Hello?
Yes, can I get
hear
your
me?
full name and address, please?
Yes, this is Hua Wang, and this is 2 Denver Crescent.
Okay, thank you, madam. Okay, madam, the agent is requesting a deferral. They'd like to revise their application. Do you have an objection to that?
就是说他想给他 defer， 就是说把他
Madam, we can't hear you. You have to speak up.
Okay, it's just postpone, right?
Yeah, you'll have a chance to comment. What will happen is the application will be circulated again after the revisions have been made. So you'll get notice of any changes that have been made, and you'll have the opportunity to comment on it at that time.
Right. We just have a problem with the height.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to confirm that the deputant knows which item we're speaking to. Can they confirm the item that they want to speak
Okay,
to?
I'll ask. Madam, are you waiting to talk to 4 Denver Crescent?
Yes.
Is that yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So do you have an objection to the applicant deferring their application?
No.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll take the matter into committee. Could I get a motion on the deferral, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the request from the applicant and the non-opposition to a request
Mr. Hunt,
for
you have to
deferral-
speak up a bit. It's hard to hear.
Okay, I've got my
That's better.
it says, okay. Based on the request of the applicant for the opportunity to further review, I would move that this application be deferred sine die.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Madam, your application has been deferred sine die so that you can meet with the neighbors and with city planning and to revise your application. Okay, thank you. We'll go back to the first item on our this afternoon's agenda. It's item number 21, 140 HILLMOUNT Avenue. I have 2 people registered to speak. The agent is Ida Evangelista. Are you there, madam? Miss Evangelista, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Thank
can
you.
Again, I know you've already, can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure. It is Ida Evangelista, 53 Bentworth Avenue, Toronto.
And thank you, madam. I just wanted to let you know we have recommended conditions from Urban Forestry. There's a report from Transportation Services dated the 16th of March. They have no objection to your application. City Planning submitted a report dated the 1st of March. They're recommending that variance number 7 for the proposed number of stories be refused. I just wanted to ask you, if the 3-story proposal is refused, does this effectively torpedo your application?
I disagree with the staff report. I'll provide you evidence.
Madam, I'm having trouble hearing
to
you.
that degree. Can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
That's better, yes.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes, I am in receipt of the staff report. And I've provided evidence to speak to variance number 7.
Okay, so would you like to?
And I am in agreement. I am in agreement to the conditions, which substantially in accordance to the revised site plan, as we have made some changes to the 2nd floor.
Okay, hang on. So are you proposing changes to your application?
No, what you have in front of you is what I'm going forward with, but I will explain in my presentation.
Okay, so you'd like to proceed with your application?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have one other person registered to speak on this application, madam. So if you could give us a presentation on what you see are the merits of your proposal, especially in light of the comments from City Planning.
Yes, sir. You tell me when I can start and I will proceed.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, so what you have in front of you, we are proposing a 3-story home. There are some variances in front of you. I would like to add that our main wall height that you have in front of you of 9.28 meters is being taken to the dormers. However, to the underside of the eaves is 6.84 meters. Okay, so we have a dormer on either side of the home, and that's where it's being taken to. However, to the eaves is 6.84. Now, our building length, we had a conversation with planning, and what we did was, because of the 1st floor, so we do have underground garage. When you pull into the front, into the garage door, one is stationary on the main floor, and the other one takes you to underground. So a part of that, because we have a terrace above, a part of that is contributing to our coverage. However, if we were to remove all of that, our coverage for our home is 38%. Our length, because our length is due to the screened porch, but the length of the house is 18.75 meters. Now, that takes us to, and planning staff, I might add, they were amenable to that because we did step back the 2nd floor substantially. So they were okay with those changes. Now, that takes us to the 3rd floor. So in this area, what is characteristic in this area? 3-story homes. If you see the submission that I presented to committee members, there are many homes in this immediate area that are 3 stories. That's the prevailing pattern of this neighborhood. The prevailing characteristics of this neighborhood, where 3 stories is what is required. There are families, large families that live in this area. You know, this particular home is going to be a family with children and multi-generational family with parents living in it. They will be working from home, so an office is required. So, but what we've done is we've been very sensitive and we've included it in the roof line of the home. So if you're standing on the street and you look at the home, it looks like a 2-story home. It's not that it is a 3-story home and then a roof. So we've been very sensitive to that 3rd story. And again, you'll see that there are many homes on HILLMOUNT that all have 3 stories. It's very characteristic of this neighborhood. I've touched, so transportation, there you have the report, and they are okay with our variance for the flanking street. Our height, we do have an overall height of 10.5 meters. However, that 10.5 takes us to the very top of the peak, which is set back. You know, if you're looking again at the street, you don't even really see that peak because it's, you know, set quite back. So again, it's indiscernible from the street. With this, I propose that the application that you have in front of you is characteristic to the neighborhood. There are many 3-story homes in the neighborhood. That is characteristic. And this is on a flanking on the corner of Shermount and HILLMOUNT with a large church behind it, so there will not be any privacy issues to the neighboring homes behind because it backs onto a church. Also, you are in receipt of a letter from a neighbor who lives at Mr. Philip Shear, who lives on 151 HILLMOUNT. I spoke to him this morning. I addressed his concern. He just wanted to know if it was for, you know, I take it multi-residential or multi-person rental, and it is not. So he was quite okay with that, and he is also okay with the application. And in closing, I respectfully submit.
Ms. Evangelista, can you summarize, please?
I've summarized, sir.
Okay.
I respectfully submit that this is within keeping of the neighborhood and the immediate context.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll move to the next person on our list. I have Michael Defranco. Are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Let me just take my phone off of hands-free.
Mr. Defranco,
Hello.
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yep, my name is Michael Defranco at 138 HILLMOUNT.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Sure would. In fact, I thank you for the opportunity. And I won't talk anymore about the height of this building because it's big. And whatever you guys sort out with that is okay with me. But I do have very specific concerns about variance 1. And of course, it's the, excuse me, it's my side of that house. That is, it's the east side setback. Okay, I would like it to be maintained, not extended. That is maintained at 1.8 rather than 1.2. The reason for that being that I have witnessed many rainfalls, some of them severe. It's my side entrance, the one I use the most often. Clearly, there's already an unbalanced drainage issue there. Oh, incidentally, if anybody wants to look at that, it's the last panel in the plans. That is east side, the CA plan thing. My observations, together with the significant increase in actual lot coverage next door, I think would lead me to predict a severe problem under downpour conditions. I don't know what these roof changes. It is a novel roof design. I don't know what they're going to do about drainage on that side of the house or on any side of the house, frankly.
Sir,
yes.
Just to let you know, the committee doesn't deal with drainage. If this application is approved and they apply for a building permit, they have to submit a lot grading plan and a drainage and a water management plan that shows that their stormwater is being managed on their own property. And that gets
Okay.
dealt with it at the building permit stage.
Okay, I'm just saying that by maintaining, excuse me, a east side bylaw setback, that would be helpful. The other thing that would be helpful, again, I guess this is not your topic, is some help in providing optimum drainage to the street. But I would hope that the developers could do that, because I'm not sure I want to bear the whole responsibility for the size of this structure. Partially because, and you don't want to hear about this for sure, but there's a house on the opposite side which is not properly schematized on your street plan that has recently come up, that's almost as big as the one we're talking about today. And I think that's where the Evangelista's discussion comes from. There's that one big one and there's others. Anyway, but I'm really suffering as the small guy between these two big guys, including the church at the back. So aside from this house, and I know you don't want to talk about cumulative variances, on my east side, there's a house that's been built now and sold and lived in. Nice people, but it had a similar number of variances. And then, of course, the church had 2 committee of assessments, and the last expansion of the church and the parking lot variances granted yielded, again, you're not interested in lot coverage, but 80% of that lot is covered, and the church building is even higher than the 10 meters of this house. And I don't know, I'm just, I try not to take it personally, but these changes have already adversely affected not only the livability, but also the value and potential of my property and the neighborhood. The neighborhood is changing, we're on the brink of something here. So whatever you guys can do to help would be much appreciated.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Ms. Evangelista, you heard the comments from Mr. Defranco. If you'd like to respond.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I can understand Mr. Defranco's concerns regarding drainage, and as we know that when we go to building permit stage, that we do have to submit a lot grading and drainage plan. There can be no runoff. There's a surveyor that is on site while the land is being graded, and they're quite cognizant of the area because we can't have runoff onto our neighbors. So every effort will be made through Paula and George, who will be living in this house, along with the city building department. And we will try and give every effort to make sure that no excess water is penetrating onto Mr. Defranco's lands.
Okay, thank you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regard to variance number 7, the 3 stories, I do accept the explanation provided by the agent with regard to the design of the home and looking at the front elevation of the property. I do see that it does present itself as a 2-story building. And as a result, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to the forestry condition and subject to the planning condition that the property be developed substantially in accordance with the revised site plan and revised west side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment attached as attachments 1 and 2 to their report dated March 1st, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Madam, your application's been approved, subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now on item number 22, 17 MCRAE Drive. I have 3 people registered to speak. The agent is Glenn Rubinoff. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. I just want to ask, I note that there's a Transportation Services report dated the 17th of March. They have no objections to your application. There's a city planning report in connection with your application dated the 17th of March, and they're recommending that you increase variance number 1 regarding the west side yard setback of the rear deck from 0.58 meters to 0.91 meters. And then if the committee chooses to approve the application, staff recommends that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the west side yard setback as shown on the site plan drawing attached to their report. Just wanted to ask, sir, have you had the opportunity to read those reports?
Yes, we had meetings with planning and we're fully in support to adjust the first variance as per their request.
Yeah, can we just, is that the only revision you're proposing to make?
Yes, that's the only revision.
Okay,
is to
so
request,
let me just get this down so I don't get it wrong. It's variance number 1, which is the proposed setback of the rear deck is 0.58 meters from the west lot line, is being revised, so it will read, the proposed setback of the rear deck is 0.91 meters from the west lot line. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have 2 other people registered to speak, sir, so if you could give us a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Sure, thank you very much. The application's for a rear addition. This is on MCRAE Drive. The addition extends along the this is a map of the neighborhood and some of the redevelopment that's gone on, which reflect some of the variances comparable to what we're requesting. The addition in the rear is in line with the right side of the home, adjacent to number 15. So that's a variance for that side, which actually we have a letter from 15 MCRAE in support of the application. I believe it was submitted too late for the committee members to have, but it was submitted to the city. But 15 MCRAE Drive has no objection to this file. But the request is for a rear addition. The lot is skewed, so we have a variance for the setback at the back corner on the left-hand side, but that's because it touches on that corner. And I think the staff report outlines in their report, the planning staff, that the addition is generally maintaining the existing west side yard setback, while the proposed east side yard setback is for a pinch point at the rear of the addition, and that they have no objections to the variances being requested, subject to the modification that we've made to the rear deck. This is a fairly straightforward application in my mind because the variances are relatively minor. I did read the letter of objection from the neighbor at 19 MCRAE with regards to the some of the variances related to side yard setback. Again, it's an addition. We're trying to work it in for their family, and we believe the impacts are minor. They had some concerns with regards to their foundations. And of course, that's, not a planning concern, but it is something that will go through a building permit process to confirm that that the items are, that their foundations are safe and not impacted. The same with the side yard setback related to the eaves, that the requirement is 0.3 and that we're at 0.25, which is a difference of 0.5 centimeters or about 2 inches. So the variances, though there may be several minor variances, They are related to the fact that it's an addition built in line with the home, and that the skewed nature of the lot. But certainly, we feel that this is a reasonable addition. It doesn't extend beyond either home on either side. Both 15 and 19 go beyond the rear extent of the proposed addition. In terms of the density, as a map shows and the city committee has, it's also well within the density that's been consistent in the redevelopment in this neighborhood. So I would say that I feel that this application is a very reasonable application before the committee today. That it's working with the lot restrictions and the lot shape, and I'll stop there. I know there's other speakers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Romanoff. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Romanoff, very simple question. You have modified variance number 1
Yes.
to 0.9. Does that modification of variance number 5 as well?
Variance number 5 is related to the height of the building. Is that what you're referring to?
No, sir. My variance number 5 reads that west side setback, which is 0.58 and requirement is 1.2. Since you have revised variance number 1 to 091, so I was requesting you or asking you, does it apply to number 5 as well or not?
Okay, just to clarify, the house is built in line with the existing house, which is at that point, 0.58, and that's why we're maintaining that. So no, it doesn't. That variance, we're not narrowing that variance because it's building in line with the existing house. That's why it's there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Go to the next speaker on our list. I have a Brett Gamble. Are you there? Mr. Gamble? Mr. Gamble, are you there?
I don't need to speak.
Yes, hello. I can hear you, sir. Sir, are you there?
Oh, sorry. No, I wasn't intending to speak or anything. I was just more listening in out of curiosity. I have nothing to say on this case, on this file.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker on the list. I have a James Russell. Are you there? James Russell, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
It's James Russell, 19 MCRAE Drive, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your views on this application.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee today. So we're located at 19 MCRAE, which is directly to the east of 17 MCRAE. We received the notice of the application on March 9th. And on March 16th, I actually communicated with the homeowner about some of the concerns that were raised earlier. Subsequent to that, I've sort of raised 6 occasions to discuss with them our concerns, and they have not talked about them with us. So I do have some concerns about, as mentioned, variance. Sorry, here. The variance is on the side lot setback on the east side. First of all, the side lot setback at the back of the house. Secondarily, the back length of the house, which is beyond the required amount. And third is the eve side lot setback. The concern I have is that, if you look at the overall building in the neighborhood, this, as they mentioned, it's a minor variance, they're calling it, but it's actually going to affect our house. The soil, et cetera, is over 100 years old, hasn't been disturbed. There will be impacts on construction. I think if you take overall the number of variances that are proposed in this, it's called a minor variance. And yet the length of the building, both sides of the building, the height of the building, and the parking don't conform with the bylaws. So I'm not sure how if you look at in totality what's being proposed, how that would actually be in conformance. And again, we have tried to discuss these issues with the homeowner, and they have not talked about them with us. So we are very concerned about the construction. And I guess what we're requesting is that the variances that affect our property not be allowed, because again, if we can't discuss our concerns with the homeowner, our preference is to not have those items approved, because it is a significant impact during construction. And, again, we don't see how this conforms to the overall nature of the construction in the neighborhood. In particular, on the parking on the front yard, this will likely be the only house without a legal parking spot. So in totality, I think, we request that the three variances that affect our property not be approved.
Okay, thank you.
And that's
sir.
again, item number 3, item number 8, and item number 2.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Rubinoff. Mr. Rubinoff, you heard the comments from Mr. Russell. If you'd like to reply to them, please.
Sure, thank you. We do have a legal parking, we are requesting the parking space to be located in the front yard, which is not unusual in this neighborhood, but it's not an illegal space. We have the space on the front yard that it does meet the requirements for parking. It's just the location of it being in the front versus the rear. That's variance number 9. In terms of his concerns with regards to building length, as I pointed out earlier, the buildings on either side of us exceed the length in terms of, they project further beyond where we're proposing. The lot is 151 feet deep, and we're requesting a 0.5 meter, 0.53 meter extension, which is just under 2 feet overall. I don't know that I would, I don't believe the side yard will have any impact on the neighbor in this regard, because it is, as I said, it's a touch point on that side. It's not the entire length of the addition that's affecting or going closer to his property. In fact, quite a bit of the addition actually complies with the 1.2. It's just a portion of it that goes a little bit closer. Again, the risk to his foundation, the concerns related to that, I think are minimal, and we will deal with any concerns related to that during building permit process. But overall, the density is well below stuff that's been approved on the street and in the area. We're only at 58.8% across the road. At number 14, they were approved for 67%. Further down the street, there's some that are higher, 76%, 64%. So what I'm saying is my clients are looking, they live there now, and this is for them to enjoy their house for their family. This is not pushing limits in any way. They're building in line on one side, and they're trying
Sir,
to
can
work
you summarize, please?
Yes, I'll summarize by saying I believe that this application is a minor in nature and meets the 4 tests. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, I do have a question for the agent. You said that variance number 3 is not for the entire side yard, the entire length of the house. I'd like to know exactly how much of that length is 0.77 meters.
Okay, so the back corner, the very back corner of the house is at 0.77. The further we go forward, it increases from that point. So there's really, it just touches that. That's the very shortest point. That's just a pinch point.
Okay.
I would say probably halfway back of the addition, it complies with the bylaw, and it's just.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Can I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I've listened to the debutante and I've listened to the agent as well on this. And I do believe that with the changes made and the explanations provided, that it satisfies me in terms of the 4 tests. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application. I'm going to make it subject to the changes made by the agent today, such that variance number 1 is increased to 0.91 meters, and that this proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the east side yard setback as shown on the site plan drawing, And yeah, that's my motion.
And I think there is no urban forestry. Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second, Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rubinoff, your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Thank you. Item number 24, item number 23, 4 Denver Crescent. That application has been deferred. We're now on item number 24, 170 St. Leonard's Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. I have an Ali Shakiri. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. I hope you hear me well.
Yes, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, we have a report from City Planning dated the 17th of March, and they're recommending refusing variance 3 regarding the building height. Now, would you like to defer the application to consult with planning, or would you like the application heard today?
Sir, I wish to proceed with the application and I have an explanation.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have one other person registered to speak, so if you could give the committee a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Sure. As you can see on the screen, image number 1, it's the front elevation of the house we're proposing. That blue shaded area that you can see is part of the existing building. So currently this building is a 3-story. It's a 3-story house. We are entirely removing a 3rd story of this house. And we're going to have just a 2-story building with the flat roof. The mass of this building is going to be majorly less than what's existing. And the height reduction is 1.22 meters or 4 feet exactly. And if we can basically go to image number 3, not 2, image number 3. The next page after that, yeah, that's the front elevation of the building that's approved by the Committee of Adjustment, next door neighbor, number 174. And that has a conventional sloped roofing. The height of this I don't see the far right side of this drawing on the screen, but that is a 10-meter height. So this house, without the height variance, yes, you can see on the far right, has a 10-meter height. If we turn to the next page after that, this house has been before the Committee of Adjustment back on April 2004. You can see that there was a 3rd story, which was a variance granted. Now we are basically taking that 3rd story out of the frame, and the building length, the building length and other variances are basically sensitive to the current bylaws. For example, that at that time, this house, even without my proposal, was 25-meter deep. And now the height, the depth of the building we are requesting is majorly less than that. And the next page after that, those are comparables. There are some other comparables after this. I don't take your time for that. Just explain this one. This is a sample of approval for the flat roof height in close proximity. They are asking for 10.47 approved by the committee. We're asking for 8.3, which is more than 2 meters less than that. By that, we're not setting a new precedent. If you want to see the other precedents in the area, there are some approvals, some applications, they even asked for heights more than required for the slope roof, which makes those majorly bigger than this house. I will conclude my comments by saying that this house, as we proposed, is majorly shorter than the existing house, and it, based on our study, it is actually going to be the shortest development in the area. This house won't have a big building mass, and I hope you move to approve it. If there is any question, I'd be more than glad to answer.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shakiri, my question is very simple. You mentioned that in 2004, this variance number 3 before us at the moment, which is rejected by the staff, was it the same approved at that time? And if it was, why didn't you discuss with the staff at the time of review?
Yes, we actually discussed this with the staff, and I provided the same rationale that I did to you. I think for some reason it's that those facts that I'm mentioning here were not clear to the staff, because I was surprised actually when I saw that they're recommending refusal of variance number 3. And I looked at the remainder of the staff report. I didn't see any solid rationale after that. It's basically suggesting a refusal. The comment, by the way, the comment that I received from the planning was to reduce the height by 40 centimeters, which I tried to basically bring my reasons to avoid reducing the height, because I think as it is, this house is majorly shorter than the existing house and any other house in the area. And I thought that would be the recommendation of the staff, but I tried to contact the staff. They mentioned that the email that I have from the staff is that, well, if you do not take our advice, then we will just deny the entire variance. So it goes before the committee to decide. So that's the background. So I did try my best with the staff. Obviously, you know, if you feel that variance has to be refused or modified, but what I have is that the planning department sent me an email requesting for just 40 centimeter reduction of the height, which still I didn't find appropriate, I must add, and that's why it basically made its way to before you to decide.
Sir, can I ask, is the height of the flat roof building you're proposing, is it lower than the height of the peaked roof of the existing building?
Yes, sir, by 1.22 meter, equaling 4 feet. That is major mass that we are reducing.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? We'll go to our next speaker on the list. I have Lance Lutz-Fulgraf. Are you there, sir?
I had not requested to speak to this property, but since I've heard it, I should give you my name and address. I'm Lutz Fulgraf. I'm speaking for the Lawrence Park Ratepayers Association. The address is 3219 Yonge Street in Toronto, and I would just recommend not to reverse the decision of the staff.
Okay, thank you very much. Back to Mr. Shakiri. Mr. Shakiri, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, yes, I'm really hoping that the panel moves to approve that variance, because if basically that will give us the variance we need to keep the mass of this building majorly shorter than what it has to be. If we don't have that variance, then we have to replace this with a conventional roof. That conventional roof is going to go some 2 meters higher than what we're proposing. And if I can ask the staff to show my image number 2. Yeah, that red dotted line demonstrates the type of flat roof the slope roof that we have to replace our current design with. The yellow shaded area that you can see are the increasing mass of this whole building. And in addition to that, we need to put some eaves trough on either side, which is projecting on sides. So it not only creates more building mass, it also creates more shadow, majorly more shadow. And well, there are other aspects such as, you know, we have to basically it costs more to build this, and it doesn't basically go well with the style of the house that we've designed here. We certainly like to keep the integrity of our design, not to generate massive building mass, and also keep the shadows, which I hear these days are very, very important for the neighbors. Basically, we don't want to increase the shadow impact of the house. No further
Okay,
comments.
thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After listening to Mr. Shakiri, his presentation about the project, I think these are minor variances, and therefore they meet the zoning bylaws, should be approved.
Okay.
Also with the forestry conditions.
Mr. Khan, are you recommending the application be approved or refused?
Approved, sir.
Approved. Okay, thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Khan to approve the application. Someone to second that motion? And its approval is conditional upon urban forestry and upon urban forestry.
That's right.
Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you very much.
Now on item number 25, 475 Douglas Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. The agent, Michelle Charco, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, hi, madam. Just going to ask, we have a report on file from City Planning dated the 1st of March, and they're recommending that the lot coverage of the dwelling be limited to less than 33.58%, and the remaining 6.37% of the lot coverage be allocated towards the cabana. Have you had the opportunity to review that report?
Yes, and we're in agreement with the condition.
Okay, thank you. It's we have one other person registered to speak, madam. So if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes, I can do that. I'll be very brief. The application that's before the panel today is for a lot coverage variance. The requested minor variance requests 39.95. And as noted in the condition from planning staff, 33.58% is for the existing dwelling. The remainder, being 6.37, is going to the proposed rear yard cabana. I just want to reiterate that this rear yard cabana, it complies with both rear and side yard setbacks. It complies with the maximum permitted height, and it complies with the rear yard softscape landscape that's required. This is the only variance that's required. If it wasn't for the size of the existing dwelling, we wouldn't require any variances for this structure. In addition, we have had no formal opposition from area neighbors, and planning staff have reviewed the application and have proposed a condition which we are in agreement with.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next person registered on our list. I have a Jeremy Jacobs. Are you there, sir? Jeremy Jacobs, are you there?
Mr. Chair, they were present previously. However, they're not there now.
I'll have to stand this down to see if we, Ms. Charco, my apologies. We'll have to stand this down until we see if we can get a hold of Jeremy Jacobs. I'm just going to move on to the next item. My apologies, madam. We'll come back to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, understood.
Thank you. My apologies. We'll go to item number 26, which is 27 Valentine Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Dominica Coiasso-Sitco. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I'm here.
Yes, thank you, madam. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. You have the one coverage variance before us. Pretty clear what you're asking for. I noticed that there are no recommended staff conditions or any comments from staff on your application. Again, it's pretty clear what you're asking for. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't in the material the committee has before it today?
No, basically, this is it. All the materials were submitted.
Okay, thank you. Just ask the committee, does it have any questions or on this application? There being none, could I get a motion on the application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. It's a simple, straightforward, minor variation endorsed by the neighbors, so I'll move that application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second Mr. Khan's motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clapp. Did we have any luck getting a hold of Mr. Jacobs?
We did, Mr. Chair. Mr. Jeremy Jacobs wishes just to view the proceedings today, so he does not want to speak to it.
All right, then. Thank you. All right. We'll go back to item number 25, which is 475 Douglas Avenue. We have no one else registered to speak. Ms. Charco, you've made a presentation. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions of the applicant. There being none, could I get a motion on the application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I do believe the explanations provided by the applicant here today, satisfies me. And I do believe that they've agreed to follow the staff report and conditions thereof. So I'll motion to approve this application. I'll make it subject to the March 1st, 2021 staff report. That the lot coverage of the dwelling be limited to less than 33.58% and the remaining 6.37% of the lot coverage to be allocated towards the cabana. And that's my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion. Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Now on item number 27, 14 St. Clements Avenue. I have 4 people registered to speak. And the agent is David Colosi. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm present. Thank you.
Yes, hello, sir. I just wanted to ask, there's a recommended condition from Urban Forestry, and there's also a report from Transportation Services dated the 14th of March. They're recommending a deferral so that the applicant can address the 5-stall parking shortfall. Would you like to defer this application in order to discuss it with transportation, or would you like to proceed today?
We'd prefer to proceed today.
Okay, thank you.
And we can speak to those.
Okay, if you could, we have other persons registered to speak here, sir, so if you could give us a presentation on what you see are the merits of your proposal.
Certainly. I don't have any material to present per se. I think the application stands for itself, but I'll just give a bit of context for the benefit of committee. The site has been operating since 1984 as a daycare, and it's a listed but not designated heritage property. It's in a state of poor repair, so it needs significant work to bring it up to both present day building code and accessibility requirements, and also to meet childcare requirements. It's a daycare. So that's the basis of the application. The vast majority of the building will remain as it has for over 100 years. So I'll just speak to the 2 variances that are being sought under this application. The first relates to parking. As you mentioned, there was a staff report suggesting that this was, I guess that we discuss this further. From our perspective, there's no need to do that. This site has not had lawful on-site parking ever in its history. It's been, as I said, operating as a daycare since 1984 with no issues. There's no expectation of staff or parents to have on-site parking. It's in a dense urban portion of the city, close to Yonge Street, well served by public transit. So we see the request to just have status quo, no on-site parking, not a significant issue. The next issue relates to setbacks. And again, this is an existing building, an existing condition that doesn't comply with current setbacks. So it does not meet either the 9.4 meter side yard or 9.4 meter rear yard setbacks. But you see the gray outline of the existing building. Also, just on the site plan, I'll just point out the one-story addition is actually just a reconstruction like for like of an existing footprint. It's a portion of the building, a porch that's in such poor repair that it has to be demolished and reconstructed at the same level, same floor level as the balance of the building. So it's, again, it's, although it's technically an addition because it's a demolition and reconstruction, it respects the original footprint of the historic building.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I ask, the addition you're proposing, or the renovations you're proposing, are you adding any more staff?
No, it's not adding staff. It's bringing all the spaces into compliance with the current.
Okay, and it's not adding any more capacity with respect to the number of children.
That's correct. If I don't have the number in front of me, I think it's actually a reduction in the
because what I see
but
from here is the renovations you're adding are essentially a preschool washroom, a play structure, and some stairs. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean there's extensive work inside the building, effectively rebuilding it, but that's correct.
Yeah, but that work you're doing, the interior renovations aren't adding to the person capacity or the employee capacity of the building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. I would ask the applicant, Mr. Colosi. Sir, there are three things in front of me. When I was reading your application, there were three things which I put down to ask you and seek your answer to that. Number one, heritage planning staff has requested, did you meet them? And what was the outcome? And number two, TTC has a concern about the noise because they are in the neighborhood. And you had a meeting with them, what was the outcome? And thirdly, the neighbors have also complained about your day nursery. So all these three things, I would seek your opinion. How do you address their concerns?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. So first, with regards to Heritage, yes, we've met with Heritage. We've met with them several times, and we're working with them. Their concerns are largely with regards to the base building fabric that's getting either restored or reconstructed. And so they've been supportive of what we've proposed so far. We've had dialogue with them, for example, with things like window details and whatnot, and that would be an ongoing dialogue. As far as TTC, I saw that report that was just issued last week. My understanding of that report is actually the TTC advising us as the owners that their operations and tunnel are nearby. And well, anyways, none of this work is significant enough or meaningful enough to impact certainly their tunnel or their operations. And I sort of read it as the other way. They were advising us of the presence of that tunnel, which is of course been there, 50 years.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to our next person on the list. I have Robert and Ling Shi. Are you there?
Hello? Yes.
Robert and
Hi.
Ling Shi.
She. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Can I get your full name and address, please?
I'm Robert Shi, the property owner of 25 Briar Hill Avenue. It's the on the northern boundary of 14 St Clements Avenue and adjacent to the proposed deck and platform that they have in their plan.
Sir, can you speak up a bit?
Oh, sorry. So my name is Robert Shi. I am the property owner of 25 Briar Hill Avenue. It is on the northern boundary of 14th St. Clements Avenue.
Okay, please.
Can you hear me? Okay. So my objection, along with all the residential neighbors of 14 St. Clements Avenue, is related to the reduction and elimination of the setbacks for variants 2, 3, and 4 in the proposal. These variances relate to the plan for a raised deck platform along the property line, which will eliminate our privacy and unnecessarily exacerbate the noise from the daycare. Specifically, the fence between 14 St. Clements Avenue and the neighboring properties is 8 feet high, and the proposed 3-foot height of the raised deck with no setback means that someone only has to be just over 5 feet tall in order to see into all the yards of the surrounding properties. This means that all the staff with the kids can easily see into our yards without even intending to do so. Secondly, a raised wooden platform will enhance the noise from feet and voices from what is a very high traffic and usage area. 3/4 of the classrooms in the daycare will be using the exits that go onto the raised platform deck multiple times each day to enter and exit for outdoor time. Furthermore, that deck is being proposed to be used every day as a play area for hours every day. So I would highlight that the goal of having a raised deck can be accomplished in other ways, given that 14 St. Clements Avenue has a large deck surrounding the northern side of the property as well as the eastern side of the property. And also that the interior renovations are extensive and will involve the complete reconfiguration of the interior of the building. One possibility to accommodate their goal of having a raised deck could be to move the raised deck to the southeast corner of the property, where it will be at a distance that will not impact the neighboring properties. We believe that this proposal fails to consider the impact on the neighboring properties and ask that variances 2, 3, and 4 relating to the elimination of the rear, side, and west yard setbacks be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move on to our next registered speaker. I have an M. Stemogianus. I'm sure I haven't pronounced that correctly. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear
I get
me?
your full name and address, please, madam?
Yes, it's Mary Stemogiannis at 21 Briar Hill Avenue, but I'm here to facilitate my father, who's the property owner, Peter and Jane Stemogiannis, and my father is on the phone, but he's elderly and he's been here for over 50 years at this address. Dad?
Yeah. Yes, my name is Peter Stemogiannis, 21 Briar Hill Avenue, Toronto, Ontario. I've been in this house for 53 years, and what I'm opposing the high raise deck, and inside the building we don't really care what they do, but the deck, and it comes out to our property. So far, all these years, we have a lot of noise. We have fans to cut the noise a bit, but it's the kids. They play. They have to make a noise.
And the staff are noisy.
And the staff. And also, we have every day, or most of the days, we have balls throwing over our backyard or other things. So we give it back when the kids, they're not around outside. We throw back to there. So now, if you raise a deck, it's going to be almost to look inside my backyard. So I lose my privacy, and the noise will be tremendous.
So we're opposed the deck that they are suggesting that they've applied for. So Rob's suggestion is a much better one.
Okay.
Where they move it to the southeast side.
Okay, you understand, madam, that there's still a preschool outdoor play area that still remains there.
Right, but I mean, if it's over there, it's not right up against our property with a raised deck.
Okay, thank you. Is there
Thank you.
Any questions of the speaker? Okay, I'll go to our next person on the list. I have a Clifford Cole. Are you there? Clifford Cole, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes,
Can you hear
I
me,
get your
sir?
full name and address, please, sir?
Clifford Cole, C-O-L-E, and my address is 27 Briar Hill Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your views on this application?
Sure. Thank you. My property, together with my wife, who I speak for as well, is immediately to the west of Rob's property. So we are one of the neighbors that are on the boundary of this heritage site redevelopment. I'll try not to repeat the comments, but I will say quite clearly that I totally endorse the comments that have been made by my neighbors. This is a very busy and extremely noisy area. We understand and we accept that there is to be a daycare, but the raised deck in particular creates a number of concerns. The first of which, it allows noise to more easily cross over any fence and onto our property. We're disrupted daily. In addition, the fence, because of the raised deck, is less than adequate. In addition to people being able to see over the property line, we now have a much more direct sight into their property. As was indicated by the person who's making the proposal to you, there's non-compliant status with the setback on our boundary. And as I read the proposal, that non-compliance is going to be exacerbated because the deck is now going to come completely flush to the property line. That raised deck will abut the fence, and hence any area that otherwise would be left free will now be removed. So to summarize, it's the noise issue, it's the variance issue, it's the height of the fence issue, and in my view, there is an alternative solution that would more than adequately meet the needs of the person who's proposing these amendments. So we are opposing, I am opposing the variance 2, 3, and 4 for the reasons that you've heard.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, I'll go back to the agent, David Colucci. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
You've heard the comments from the previous speakers, and it seems to relate
Correct.
more to the
deck.
height, overlook, and noise issues.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to respond to those. And I think there's a few perhaps points of confusion on behalf of the, well, in interpreting those comments. So the first I'll just say, as I'm sure I don't need to tell the committee member, there's no variance requested, nor is that something that committee considers for noise. This site is subject to the same noise bylaws that the rest of us are, and there is no relief being sought for that. I think the suggestion that because it's a raised deck increases the noise is just conjecture, frankly, but it's neither here nor there. Number two, I just point out that the area of outdoor play that will occupy the raised deck is the infants. So it will be 10 infants aged 18 months and under. So again, if we're talking about noise at a specific location and proximity to the neighbors, I think that, again, the suggestion that, footfall noise and whatnot is going to be compounded by this, given what's proposed, I think is misunderstood. The other thing, I think fundamentally, just want to explain the reason that the raised deck is being proposed is to facilitate level access from the indoor infant playroom to the outdoor infant play space, so that the staff and the children don't need to go up and down stairs every time they go inside and out. So it's not the fact that we just dreamt up that we decided it would be great to have a deck. The deck is in that specific location because of that proximity and that adjacency. So suggesting that it would be pushed around to the front of the building or a different corner of the building is not really applicable, because this is a function-driven solution to an issue. And then finally, I'd just like to say as well, as far as the fence, I mean, an 8-foot fence means that there's roughly 5 feet above the level of the deck that the fence is providing privacy to. That means, generally speaking, someone 6 feet could look over it with a 5-foot eye level. That's general consensus for eye level. For a 6 foot and above would look over, but that's only for someone who comes right up to the fence and makes the effort to look over. The staff that are working with the children, I mean, that's not their prerogative. And likewise, the operational hours of the facility, which is Monday to Friday, sort of, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. I appreciate now people are home during that time, but this isn't like an all hours type of venue or things on the weekend or whatnot. So I think any possibility of reduced privacy proposed by this is nominal.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. Actually, after listening to you, Mr. Closey, I'm caught up in a very difficult situation to make up my mind. But there is one thing that I would like to appreciate, if you can elaborate. Proposed parking spaces 0, required 5. Why didn't you go to the transportation services for the resolution?
I mean, you saw the timeline on this, right? That was just received last week. I mean, their suggestion was for a deferral, right? Because this project, I mean, the Upper Young daycare has been waiting for years for this project, which I realize is not necessarily the prerogative or purview of committee, but you know, so to avoid further delay of a project that's been delayed significantly for years and years.
Okay, thank you.
But likewise, I mean, I think out of the variances being discussed, I mean, that's by far the least contentious. The site has never had on-site parking. It's been operating in this capacity since 1984. And it's normal for downtown properties to, you know, not have on-site parking. I think it's practically status quo. I think it would be unusual if people expected either staff or visitor parking on a site like this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kidd, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so I'm clear on the application here, it appears though variances number 2, 3, and 4 refer to the setbacks of the existing building. Is that correct?
Well, I think they just identify non-compliance with setbacks generally. So the existing building does not comply with those setbacks.
Okay.
But yes.
So do any of the variances are any of the variances related to this raised deck that you're proposing to build?
They are, because of the height of the deck, it's considered a structure, and therefore it's considered any construction, it's considered a structure within the setback. So that's why it's
okay.
But to your point, these would be flagged anyways, even with no deck, because the perimeter of the footprint of the building and in its existing form is also not in conformance with those same setbacks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've listened to both sides of this argument.
Mr. Hunt, can you speak up? We can't hear you.
I've listened to both sides of this argument, and unfortunately, the opportunity to defer to allow the applicant to discuss further the parking deficiency was waived. So I feel that I'm compelled to move a motion to reject this application.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunt. I have will Ms. Sankar, do you second that motion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Kidd dissenting. Sir, your application has been refused. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 28, 78 Bideford Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent. Asan Zarian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Okay, thank you, sir. I note on your file we have recommended conditions from urban forestry. There's a city planning report dated the 15th of March indicating that they appear to have no objections to your application, provided that the proposal is developed substantially in accordance with the south elevation drawing submitted to the committee and attached as attachment 1 to their report. It's pretty clear what
Yes,
you're
I
asking
agree with
for in
that.
your application, sir. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to add or say to the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
Actually, I don't have anything else to mention. If there is any question, I'd be glad to answer your question.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I do believe that this is a very straightforward application. I'm going to motion to approve this application and make it subject to forestry, as well as the March 15th condition from the staff report that you've already mentioned, sir.
Thank you. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Now on item number 29, 77 Randolph Road. I have one person registered to speak. Areza Dadashi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, hello, sir. I have just noted on your file, we have no questions or recommended comments from staff. Your application is pretty straightforward in the 5 variances that we have before us. Is there anything that you'd like to add that isn't in the material we have before us today?
Just briefly that item number 3, 4, and 5 are no longer required.
Oh, so you're proposing
we're
to delete
removing those.
variances 3, 4, and 5?
Yes.
Okay, let me just get that down then. 3. So your variance is 3, which is side yard setback, variance 4, which is coverage, and variance 5, which is floor space index. You're deleting all those 3 variances.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, if I could get a motion on this revised application, please note we're only dealing with variances number 1 and 2. Variances 3, 4, and 5 have been deleted. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposal as amended meets the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaws. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application as revised. Items variance number 3, 4, and 5 to be deleted and without condition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kidd. All those in favor? I'm sorry, Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. So your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Now we're on item number 30, 34 Dresden Road. I have one person registered to speak. That is Nafisa Zangiabadi. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Nafisa Zangiabadi, and address is 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill, L3T3B6, and I'm the applicant representing the owners.
Okay, thank you, madam. I noticed in your file that there's a recommended condition from Urban Forestry. There's also a report from City Planning dated the 15th of March, indicating that they appear to have no objection, provided that the proposal is developed substantially in accordance with west elevation, east elevation, and cross-section drawings submitted to the committee. Date stamped February 24th, 21 is attached, and as attachments 1, 2, and 3 to their report. You had the opportunity to review that report, madam?
Yes, we did, and we're okay with that, and we will
Okay,
go
thank
based on
you.
that.
It's pretty clear what you're asking for in the variances we have before us, madam. I'm just going to ask you if there's anything you'd like to add that isn't in the material that we have before us this afternoon.
No, I think Jeff mentioned everything in the report, but if there's any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having listened to the applicant and reviewing the documentation, I would move approval of this application subject to The March 15th Planning Staff Report, which requests development substantially in accordance with the west elevation, east elevation, and cross-section drawings stamped on February 24th, 21, and also subject to the March 18th urban forestry conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, Madam, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning and urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now on to item number 31, 85 Rochester Avenue. I have 5 people registered to speak, and the agent is a Mr. Franco Romano. Are you there, Mr. Romano?
Good afternoon, sir. I am here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. I note that in your file, the only recommended condition we have is from urban forestry. If you'd like to give the committee a brief presentation on what you see are the merits of your proposal, sir.
Sure. I'd like to refer to my slide that shows the site plan and has some dimensions and the elevation drawings on it.
Okay, thank you.
So this is an application that is to replace the existing 2-story dwelling with a new 2-story dwelling. And you'll see that the first 2 variances deal with side yard setbacks. And the side yard setback is 1.22 meters only for portions of the dwelling nearest the front. On one side, it's for the garage portion, which is about 6.12 meters. And on the other side, it's just over 7 meters. I think it's about 7.6 meters. Beyond those portions nearest to front, beyond to the back, the building has 1.5 and 1.52 meter side yard setbacks. And that is for a building length that is smaller than the 17 meters that is permitted under the zoning bylaw. So it's an articulated footprint, and the way that is identified in terms of height is that the wall heights are lower than the permitted 7.5 meters under the bylaw. They're about 7.3 meters or so. And the overall height for basically a modified hip roof, meaning that the roof slopes away from all sides and front and rear, other than some gables which are also sloping, is less than the 10 meters that's permitted. It's also at 9.5 meters. So there is a 1-story extension to the rear, which is also within the 19-meter permitted depth. And that extension to the rear has one side yard setback of 2.13 meters, and the other side yard setback is almost 6 meters. So you'll see the ultimate rear yard setback is almost 19 meters in length. So the way this building is being designed is to reflect the front central portion of the lot for the building, and to also reflect what's happening next door in terms of setbacks. We'll see the property on one side has a 0.9 meter side yard setback, which is the historical side yard setback that was permitted before the 2013 bylaw came into effect in 2018. And what you'll also see in the east elevation, the lower right, is that the 1.22 meter portion nearest the front has fenestration. And those windows there, the one nearest to the front, is intended to be opaque. It's intended to be there in order to provide some visual interest to that wall instead of having a blank wall. And that could be a frosted window. Happy to have that as a condition of approval. There's also been some reference in the correspondence regarding the chimney that is to the back. You'll see that near the rear where I show 5.48 meters to 6.42 meter side yard setback in the lower right hand side. That chimney does not require a variance. There is no variance there. You'll see that there's a significant setback there that is in compliance. But the owner has had discussions with the neighbors and is willing to and certainly going to reduce the size, if not eliminate that chimney ultimately. There might be a direct chimney there instead, in keeping with what's being discussed with the residents. So the other variance is front yard landscaping is about a 34 square meter difference. This is not for soft landscaping. The soft landscaping is in excess of the zoning bylaw requirement. The building, the one-story portion at the back is a 4-foot difference in width. That is also minor. We already talked about the west side yard setback, and the gross floor area or floor space index is for about a 4,100 square foot dwelling, which is in keeping with the stately nature of homes in this area, and the variances are in keeping with what's found, particularly for new construction along Rochester and other adjoining streets. So it submits sir that what's being proposed here is a sensitive, gentle regeneration on this property with no unacceptable adverse impacts. And again, planning staff have no concerns. We've discussed it with them, and they have no concerns with the variances as proposed. Subject to any questions, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. My question number one is, sir, about variance number 4. So you're allowed only 50% and your 19 meter is maximum allowed, but yours is 22 meter, which has already crossed the maximum. And my number 2 is variance number 6, FSI. You are 37% more than the allowable. And these are not minor variances. How do you justify?
Thank you for those questions. Through you, Mr. Chairman, the variance number 4, the maximum permitted building length is 19 meters, and you will see that on the site plan drawing, if I bring up my slide again, you will see that the building from the front wall to the rear wall is indeed 19 meters. The variance there is for the permitted width of the one-story extension. And the permitted width of the one-story extension is 21 feet, and the proposed width is 24 feet. So that is 25 feet. So that is a 4-foot difference, and that's to accommodate the interior space on the ground floor. So the setbacks and the building length there is all within where the zoning bylaw would expect one to have this type of dwelling, even at a 2-story level.
Sir, you haven't addressed my question. The width extension you're asking is 59.53%. Allowable is 50%, which is 16% more than you are asking. So if consider 16% more than the allowable, you are not 19 meter, you are 22 meter. So you are 4 meter more than allowable of 16%. So you're not justifying this statement or satisfying my question.
Mr. Khan, is there a question in there?
Yes, sir, there's a question that is 4 meter more than allowable.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I can read the variance. The variance says the maximum permitted building length is 19 meters, provided the extension to the building is less than 50% of the width of the building. So the width of the one-story extension at 50% measures 21 feet. That is what's permitted. The proposed width of the extension is 25 feet, and that represents a 59.53%. So there is no length variance. The variance is in relation to the width of the one-story extension, and that's what I was trying to explain. In terms of
could you kindly move to variance number 6?
Yep, variance number 6 is if we bring up the other supporting material that identifies some of the more recent approvals, and this is just within the last handful of years or so, you will see that dwellings along Rochester have had floor space index approvals of 0.597, 0.58, 0.5995, and 0.58 just on Rochester alone. So the proposal at 0.557 would be one of the lowest recent approvals for new dwellings on Rochester. So we can go to other streets and see that that variances have been granted at or close to or even above 0.6. So the proposal is in keeping with the regeneration that's been occurring in new construction, and the way this floor area is deployed from a site design perspective. is in a sensitive and compatible manner with neighboring dwellings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Romano. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move on to the next speaker. I have Ian Stewart. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Ian Stewart, 87 Rochester Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your views on this application?
Yeah, I have 5 minutes to speak. I spoke with Mr. Antonacci, so I have a prepared statement. My wife and I have lived in Lawrence Park for 22 years, having built a new home in 1998 with one variance on GFA at 0.40. We have mixed feelings about the proposal at 85 Rochester Avenue. On the one hand, the house has an appealing front and rear elevation, a contemporary Georgian design. On the other hand, the house is large, which causes concerns around setbacks and building length. See elevation A8. Setback concerns focus on 7 large windows on the east elevation, including 2 large window wells. In particular, there's a study window at the front of the house that will overlook our front bathroom and front entrance doors. See page 8, photos 1 and 2. We need setbacks maintained in order to preserve our privacy, preserve ample access to our rear yard, and to mitigate against fire risk. For these reasons, we object to variance 2. Concerns about building length and depth focus on the rear yard extension beyond our back wall. Page 9, photos 3 and 4. Our back wall on the lot line at 85 Rochester begins at 41.5 feet. The proposed building ends at 52 feet on the east side, but back of the house extends further because there is a rear yard extension attached to a 1-story covered porch, 16 feet deep, with a large fireplace on a full foundation adjacent to the east lot line. The total length of this structure is 68 feet from the front setback. This is over 50% of the lot past the front setback. This building is simply too deep for Lawrence Park. For these reasons, we object to variances 4 and 5. Our objection to variance 6 is based on our concern that the size and configuration of the house is not appropriate in relationship with abutting houses and the landscape. The average GFA of abutting houses is 0.42. The house is too sprawling, does not facilitate a harmonious transition between abutting houses. In short, it sticks out like a sore thumb in the rear yard. In addition, the footprint will negatively impact stormwater management in the area of the basement flooding zone, area 20. See page 10, photo 6, to see the catch basin system that supports the drainage area. Finally, we have an additional concern that outdoor living space could easily be taken into GFA during construction with a subsequent application, given that it has a full foundation. You will see in our letter of objection beginning at page 4 that we address the 4 tests under the Planning Act. In the interest of time today, we will focus briefly on the zoning bylaw and the official plan and test number 4. The official plan approved by City Council sets the objectives for appropriate development and land use in the City of Toronto. The zoning bylaw is the legal implementation of the official plan. Since the bylaw does not provide descriptive language as to its intent and purpose, we must rely upon the descriptive language of the official plan to understand the intent and purpose with respect to appropriate neighborhood development. Under test 4, we have demonstrated that the variances do not satisfy the general intent and purpose of the official plan for built form, Chapter 3, neighborhoods, Chapter 4, natural environment, Chapter 3. The official plan states that proposed development within a neighborhood will be materially consistent with the prevailing physical character of the properties in the broader and immediate context. The broader context in this case is the neighborhood of Lawrence Park. The immediate context in this case are the houses in the immediate vicinity of 85 Rochester. Of the 11 houses in the immediate context or vicinity, the average DFA is 0.44. 6 houses are original houses over 65 years old. Of 39 houses on Rochester between Dinnick and St. Ives, only 10 houses are new, 26%. In closing, the official plan states the following: no changes will be made through zoning, minor variance, consent, or other public action that are out of keeping with the physical character of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move on to our next speakers. I have Antoinette Leong and Benoit Morissette. Are you there?
Yes, this is Antoinette. Benoit is my husband, but I'll be speaking for the two of
Okay,
us.
thank you. If you'd like, give us your name and full address, please.
Sure, Antoinette Leong, 79 Rochester Avenue.
Okay, please proceed, madam.
Sure. We have submitted our letter, which I understand you all have, so I will be brief. We are the neighbor adjacent to the west side of 85 Rochester Avenue. We have described our concerns with variances 1, 4, and 5, but I want to focus on one thing, which is our main concern is really the length of the building. Our current house in our property is 52 feet long. And with the proposed property, they are proposing a building. The two-story building will be 55 feet and 9-inch long. On top of that, they're also adding a first-story extension of another 6 feet and 7-inch long, as well as a covered living space, outdoor living space, a covered porch, which will take the whole length of the building up to 68 feet. So this will be approximately 15 feet longer than our property. So with the extension of the building, as well as the widening width, so they are also requesting a west side setback variance. What it means is that the proposed building is going to be much closer to our property. One other thing that I want to note is that the current building, the current house at 85, they have a carport. With the new building, that carport is going to be removed. It will just be a two-story building. So from our perspective, the new building is going to be much closer and much longer, and it will impact our privacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? Okay, we have the next speaker is Lutz Fulgraf. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Lutz Fulgraf. I'm speaking for the Lawrence Park Ratepayers Association, 3219 Yonge Street, Toronto.
Thank you, sir. If you give us your views on this application.
Sure. You've just heard from the neighbors of this property, from the eastern neighbor and from the western neighbor. And it seems that they both agree that this is not a development appropriate and desirable for the area. In detail, this is a standard lot. It's 15.24 meters wide and 45.72 meters deep. The standard lots in Lawrence Park for which the bylaws were written are 15 by 45 meters. Yet we still need some variances to fit the new building on this slightly larger than standard lot. The width of the building is of major concern, so that's variances 1, 2, and 5 to the neighbors because it reduces east and west side yards, even though it's only partially for the building, to 1.22 meters from the bylaw limit of 1.5. And the extension also does not respect the bylaw limit of 3 meters from the side, reducing it to 2 meters and 13. The side yard setbacks provide privacy and drainage and access to the rear property, and you've just heard that that is of concern to the neighbors. Any narrowing of the side yard setbacks negatively affects these three aspects. Of particular concern regarding the privacy are the 5 windows on the one side, and if we can frost one of them, I'm sure that'll help. I would want to make sure that if that is approved, that fashion, that we actually put that into the decision. The applicant, I know from various applications in the neighborhood, and you've seen from the supporting material that he is always referring to other approved variances that fit his purpose. there. And even though I know the Committee of Adjustment always stresses that there are no precedents, there clearly is an expectation expressed by the supporting documents that whatever has been approved in other applications will be approved for this application again. In my letter of objection, I've listed 3 properties in which the applicant has almost routinely applied for setbacks of 1.22 meters instead of 1.5 or 1.8, whatever the bylaw said. And I would appreciate if the Committee of Adjustment would take into consideration the impact that it has if it continuously and routinely approves the reduction of the setbacks. Of particular concern to the neighbor to the east, Ian Stewart, who you've just heard, is the fireplace that has been planned for the building. You will see on the drawing that that fireplace is actually being planned, if I read it correctly, at 1.22 meters from the side lot on the eastern side. So again, it'll be very, very close and beyond the side yard setback there to the neighbor. And if it's as planned about 6 meters high, then it will take over a width of, I think it was 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet. A lot of sun away in the afternoon from the eastern neighbor. So there's a clear impact on the enjoyment of his property. If there have been now discussions about reducing the height of the chimney and maybe putting that outdoor fireplace somewhere else where it has lesser impact, then I would also ask the committee to make sure that that is part of the decision if they approve the application. We have talked about the FSI variance number 6. Yes, I will. The FSI variance is much higher than normal, and so I think overall it's too big a house for a standard lot, and therefore I would ask the Committee of Adjustment to either refuse the application or make the amendments that I suggested.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? Go back to Mr. Romano. Mr. Romano, you've heard the previous speakers. Would you like to reply?
Yes, sir. I'll just speak on the last item first, FSI, because it was raised also by one of the committee members. You'll see in this entire agenda, including from starting at 10 a.m. this morning, if planning staff in their review of what's happening in the neighborhood have a concern with floor space index, either the size to be reduced or refused outright, they would write a report. In this case, they did not write a report, and I think that that helps inform the fact that the proposed floor space index is indeed in keeping with what's occurring within this neighborhood and what has existed within this neighborhood, respects and reinforces this neighborhood. And the way that that floor space index is being deployed on this lot is in a manner that is sensitive and reflects an articulated, low-profile, 2-story detached house. It has an integral garage and 1 level of living above. The side yard setbacks are oriented towards the front. One of them is next to a driveway. The other one is next to a side yard, which is also, oriented towards some open area on the neighboring building. The length of the building, you will see that it is fits in well with the lengths of adjacent buildings, which have some similar articulation, and those were built at a previous time. I've already provided for and will reiterate the undertaking that the fireplace is, despite not being a variance, the outdoor fireplace, it's not a variance, it's allowed to be located where it is. That could be reduced and will be reduced or eliminated or relocated as per the owner's discussions with the neighbors. And the front windows adjacent to the east side that are within that 1.22 meter side yard setback will be frosted. So happy to have a condition that those windows are to be frosted glass. In terms of drainage, we'll see that the eaves and the eaves projection all are within the zoning bylaw compliant setbacks. And that through the building permit process, the grading, drainage, and will be managed and identified as being having to be maintained on private property only. So that should not be an issue. The carport that is shown in the outline on my slide presentation there has a 0.27 meter north side yard setback for about 16 and a half meters in length. So that is within 30 centimeters of the property line. And what is being proposed is, yes, a two-story building, but farther away, 1.22 to 1.5 meters. So I think that that transition is appropriate. So I would submit, sir, that what's being proposed here is in keeping with what's on the street and in the neighborhood, and has no unacceptable adverse impact. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. You know, I've considered this application carefully before coming here today, as well as hearing from the applicant or the agent, and then the debutantes. And I feel that the debutantes have made some very, very strong statements that really resonate with me. And I've been trying to go through my head to see how I would lessen this or manipulate it in such a way to balance both sides, and I can't. For that reason, I think individually and cumulatively, the variances are not minor, and I don't believe that it actually fits within the character of this neighborhood or the intention of the bylaws. So to be honest, I'm going to put forward a motion to refuse this application.
Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously refused. Committee members will take a 5-minute break. Can we go, Brendan? Sorry. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, committee is back in session. We're now on item number 32, 64 Ridge Road. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Anthony Cedrone. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
Yes, I am. It's Anthony, 64 Ridge Road.
Thank you, sir. I have noticed there are two staff reports in your file. There's one recommended condition from Urban Forestry. There's a 3rd of March city planning report recommending that the lot coverage of the dwelling be limited to less than 36.67%, and the remaining 2.48% of the lot coverage allocated towards the excavated cold room under the rear deck. Have you had the opportunity to see those two reports, sir?
Yes, I have.
Sir, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I can't hear you, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Hello? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, you've had the opportunity to see.
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Pretty clear what you're asking for in your variances, sir. The 3 variants we have before us. Just wanted to ask, is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us today?
The only thing is that I ended up getting neighborhood support, and I believe that's all been uploaded into the website.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there any questions of the applicant? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm unclear as to whether or not the applicant is agreeable to the condition that the planning staff.
I'll just
put forward.
ask, sir, you've read that recommended condition from city planning. Are you okay with it?
Yes, it's the top part is for the patio, and the remainder of that area below is to be the excavated cold room.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the presentation and the acknowledgement of the planning staff report, I would recommend approval of this conditional that the lot coverage be limited to less than 36.67%, and the remaining 2.48% be allocated to the excavated cold room under the rear deck.
And urban forestry.
And urban forestry, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now on item number 33, 49 Riseborough Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. It's a Peter Giordano. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Giordano, I just want to ask, we have a comment on file from City Planning dated the 16th of March, and they recommend modifying variance number 2 for the proposed rooftop canopy from 1.22 meters to 1.53 meters. And then if committee approves the revised application, that approval is conditional on developing the proposal substantially in accordance with the site plan, west elevation and east elevation drawings submitted to the committee, date stamped March 4th, 2021, and attached as attachments 1, 2, and 3 to their report. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, sir?
We're accepting of those conditions, Mr. Chair. The condition is actually correcting the wording in the variance. Our drawings reflect that 1.53 on the
Okay,
canopy
so
projection.
if that's the case, then could you tell me, you're proposing to amend variance number 2 then, is that correct?
That's correct, to read 1.53 as the setback as opposed to 1.2.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. And are there any other changes?
Yeah, actually, item number 7 as well.
We don't
The
have
wording in
item number
that
7, sir. You have 6
is the air.
You have 6
Is
variants.
the air conditioning.
It's very, are you looking at on the public hearing notice, sir?
I'm looking at the staff report.
No, you have to
The
look
staff
at the,
report.
you only have 6 variances before us, sir.
That's fine. Okay, that's the air conditioner. I'm fine with the items the way they are.
Okay, thank you. I'll just ask, is there anything you'd like to advise the committee or that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this afternoon?
No, I think the planning staff report was concise and we're in agreement.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan? This revised application, I'm sorry.
Sorry, sir. Thank you. I would take the staff recommendation that it will be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan, west elevation and east elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment on March 4th, 2021. Attachment number 1, 2, and 3 to this report. I move it to be approved with conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you, sir. We're on item number 34. 9 Walker Road. I have one person registered to speak. That is Jonathan Benskowski. Are you there, sir?
I'm here, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. I have just note in your file that we have no comments from staff or any recommended comments from staff. It's pretty clear, I think, what you're asking for in the variances before us. Is there anything is there anything you'd like to add that isn't in the material that we have before us today?
I think the design of the house is driven by the constraints of the site from the TRCA. In addition, we do have confirmation from the TRCA that they are not in objection to the proposal. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do believe that this meets the 4 tests according to my review, and there's no opposition and nothing from staff that prevents me from considering that. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application's been approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're now on item number 35. 38 Belper Court. I have 6 people registered to speak.
Holy crap.
I have Leo Mastandria is the agent. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to, I noted that the only thing we have on file from staff is a report from Transportation Services dated the 16th of March, and they have no objections to your proposal. Although we do have other people registered to speak on your item, so if you'd like to give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes.
And can I get your full name
if
and
we,
address, please, sir?
my name is Leo Mastandrea at 817 Cosburn. I'm representing the agents at 8 Belper.
Okay, thank you.
So in regards to the variance themselves, I'd like to start with variance number 1, the minimum required setback. That's an existing condition. The existing house is, that's what the setback is. Variance number 2, in regards to the side yard setback, again, is also an existing condition. We're basically building a second floor on top of the existing with a small addition in the front. The number 3 is in regards to the driveway from 5.52 to 5.7. I feel that is minor in nature. Then number 4 and 5 have to do with the front yard setback. I spoke to the examiner of why those even exist, and they said that it's because of our front yard setback issue, which is an existing condition. Those two come into play. So I guess the only real thing that we're adding is number 6 is the height. And if you look at the elevation, which I have highlighted right now on the screen, basically we're talking about a foot difference. The yellow line is where the midpoint should be, and a foot above that is where our midpoint actually is. Now, because the reason is because it's from the center of the road, which if you see the front elevation, it goes about 2 or 3 feet below our garage. And again, this is the old bylaw. In the new bylaw, we comply with all the heights. Also, in addition, I've submitted, if you look at page number 2 of my submission, we have similar variances in the area, which have been approved at 10.12 in height, where we're only asking for 9.05. So I believe it's minor in nature, as well as if you go to page number 4, in regards to our side yard setback, I also believe it's consistent with what's been approved here at the committee and the built form. And also we have some photos regarding 2-story dwellings. So in my opinion, this does meet all 4 tests. It's minor in nature, it's appropriate, and the purpose and intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw are maintained.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to clarify, you're not looking for a variance for height under the new bylaw, 569-2013. You're just going for a height variance under the old obsolete North York bylaw, correct?
Yes, correct. And I believe, I don't know, but I heard shortly that will also be removed, but currently it stands.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on the list. We have Shanaz Akhtar Chowdhury or Irshad Ahmed Chowdhury. Are you there? Irshad Ahmed Chowdhury, are you there?
Yes, he's there.
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Irshad Bole.
Hello, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Oh, my name is Shehnaz Akhtar Chaudhry, and my address is 8 Belper Court, and my phone number is 416-825-0083.
Hang on a second, madam. Are you the owner of the property?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, your agent's already spoken for you.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you. I am in support anyway.
Oh, this is number 8. You're the owner. Okay. We'll go to the next person on the list, Michael Samartzis and Christina Lazarou, 5 Belper Court. Are you there? Christina Lazarou?
There should be a button at the bottom.
Yes, well, we can't hear you. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Not very well. It sounds like you're inside a tin can. Do you have other audio devices turned on? Or if you're using a speakerphone, turn it off.
We are just here to
Okay,
listen.
that's better. That's better. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, this is Christina Samartzis and Michael Samartzis. We are at 5 Belper Court. We didn't have something to say. We were just here to listen.
Okay, could you give us your views on this application? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. There was a Michael Samartzis. Are you there? Okay. I have Carolyn Kaveri Bishun. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, madam, if you could speak up.
Good afternoon, and thank you for listening. I live at 10 Belper Court. It's the east side of 8 Belper. And the proposed, I see the variances are not that much of a difference, but I've lived here for the last 35 years. And the Belper Court is a court of bungalows, and aesthetically it's pleasing to the eye, and it's also quiet, and the traffic is not as much. My concern would be that when this building is built, even though it's going to be 9.05 meters, it's going to block a bit of sunlight from my area towards my backyard. And I think my privacy would be affected. Also, I think the curb appeal would be compromised because all the homes are bungalows, and this would be a proposed 2-story home. Also, I understand that there'll be 5 washrooms, and already we have a water usage problem, poor water pressure. So I'm wondering if with 5 bathrooms, if it would affect the rest of the inhabitants of Belper Court even more. So I'm thinking more traffic in the area. I'm thinking less aesthetics. The curb appeal would be affected. The water usage would be affected. And for 10 Belper where I live, the sunlight would be blocked out a bit. That's my concern.
Okay, thank you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the last speaker on the list. I have a Lori Nemechek.
Mr. Chair.
That's me. I'm with Caroline.
Okay, thank you, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Lori Nemechek. I'm at 3 Belper Court.
Okay, thank you.
And both Caroline and I are on the same laptop. That's why, because we're a dynamic duo. Anyway, I basically favor exactly what Caroline had just stated, and more so, especially the infrastructure of the court itself. I cannot see, that's the main one that I got pointed out, because I am across the street. So aesthetically, it's going to be totally different from the whole court atmosphere where we have 8 bungalows at present. And the water pressure here to date is horrible. Christina and Michael can attest to that because we have talked about it. Even when we're in peak time in the court, I even noticed just running the water in my home, meaning dinner time, et cetera, the water pressure is.
Madam, before you go any further, the committee doesn't deal with water issues. With regards to issues regarding lot drainage, if the application is approved, they have to submit a lot grading plan and a drainage plan to show that all the stormwater is managed on their own site. They have to do new hookups to the street water system. All that's done new. But the committee doesn't deal with that, so I would focus on the planning issues, not on the infrastructure issues.
What else?
Aesthetics covered.
Yeah, I guess,
Traffic.
yeah, and being a court, not knowing what the intent of the final residence would be, meaning will it be a rental home, et cetera, et cetera. We have just single family dwelling right now. That's again, another concern. In the end, it's just a real odd building to what we have to date. That's all.
Okay, thank you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go back to the agent. Mr. Mastandrea, are you there? Mr. Mastandrea, are you there?
Yes, hello?
Yes, sir. Can you've heard the comments from the previous speaker, if you'd like to reply to them?
Yes, so we have 6 variances. 4 out of the 6 variances come from existing condition. Number 3, our driveway is only larger by approximately 7 inches. And the height is because of it's in the old bylaw. We comply with all the heights in the new bylaw. And the only reason we have a height issue is because of the center line of the road, that way below our grade. So the fact that the sunlight also, number 10 commented on that, but the sun rises in the east and comes down in the west. So the sun will this proposal will have no effect on her house. In addition, we've shown you we are permitted a 2-story dwelling. The bylaw does permit that. So our application is very minor in nature, and most of these variances are existing.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And the other ones that are not are minor. So I believe it does meet the 4 tests.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the concerns of the neighbors with the redevelopment in their neighborhood. However, looking at the proposed variances, I do feel that they are modest and that they meet the 4 tests for minor variance set out in the Planning Act. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion, Ms. Sankar? Seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application's been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Item number 36, 237 Horsham Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is a Nicole Parr. Nicole Parr, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Sorry, madam. My mistake.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
My mistake, madam. With respect to your application, I note that we have only one staff report on file. It's from City Planning dated the 15th of March. They appear to have no objections to your application, provided that the proposal is developed substantially in accordance with east and west elevation drawings submitted to the committee, attached as attachments 1 and 2 to their report. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, madam?
Of course.
Okay.
And yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Thank you. It's you have 4 variances before us. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask you if there's anything you'd like to add that isn't in the material that the committee has before it this afternoon.
No, not really. I just wanted to clarify for variances number 3 and 4, that deals largely with the lower center point of road that we have over by 237 Horsham, as opposed to the rest of the neighbors. Other than that, like you said, I think it's pretty clear, but I open the floor to any questions or comments from the committee.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. I'm taking the staff recommendations that it should be developed substantially in accordance with the west and east elevation drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment. Attachment 1 and 2 to this report. I move this be approved.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Oh, pardon me.
Thank you very much. Have a nice
Pardon me,
evening.
subject to city planning condition. My mistake. Your application's been approved subject to city planning.
Right.
Thank you.
Item number 38. 37, 129 Byng Avenue.
Mr. Chair, with respect to this application, the deputant that registered has now withdrawn his request to speak. He sent an email indicating he will no longer be speaking to this.
All right, thank you. This is item number 37, 129 Byng Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. Meng Chen Zhu, are you there?
Hi.
Yes, hello?
Hi.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Yuja, who mentioned is not able to attend this meeting. And I'm from the engineering firm that's responsible for 129 Byng Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask a question before we start here? I know you have only one variance before us. It's lot coverage relating to a proposed sunroom and interior alterations. Can I ask, is this sunroom addition, is it being used for residential purposes or commercial purposes?
It's for a residential purpose, but actually I would like to defer this application for today because there was a mistake that zoning examiner made, that he forgot to put the variance for the length of the building, and we only got to know that 3 days ago, and there still need more time to redo the zoning notice.
So you need to defer the application?
Yes, we need to have a new zoning notice.
Okay, thank you. I have a request from the applicant to defer their application. They need to revise the application. Someone to move a motion to that regard? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I'll move to defer this application, sine die, to allow some chance for the applicant to work with the zoning examiner to get that extra variance noted.
Thank you very much. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Madam, your application's been adjourned to the next available meeting so that you can revise your application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Item number 38, 76 OTONABEE Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. The first person is the agent, Matt Jackowitz. Are you there?
I am here.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, Matt Jackwitz of 240 Riseborough Road, Unit 6 in Vaughan.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask if you've had, I'm looking at your file, and we have a report from City Planning dated the 15th of March, recommending that the proposal be developed, if it's approved, be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the committee, attached as attachment 1 to their report, and that a 1.8 meter high privacy fence shall be maintained on the east and west sides of the proposed rear yard deck. We have a letter from Councillor Filion dated the 25th of March, and he was recommending planning conditions be imposed. Have you had the opportunity to read that material, sir?
Yes, I did. As you guys may know, we've had extensive conversations with the planning department over the last couple of years about this property. And through those conversations, I think we've come to a mutual agreement on a satisfactory project.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you could give us a very brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal. We have one other person registered to speak.
Absolutely. One second. I'm not too familiar with this WebEx, so I'm not sure how to present.
Well,
Am
we
I
can
able to present something?
Well, we can put your site plan up on the screen if that will help.
Sure. Sure.
But you can proceed, sir. You can proceed with your presentation. We'll find it.
Okay. So yeah, to make a long story short, you know, there was a different type of application that was put forward a couple of years ago, which was to extend the length and the lot coverage for the actual dwelling. Since that application was denied, the homeowner was able to make their basement work for the extra bedroom that they were looking for. Having said that, what we're doing here is adding some amenity space, some outdoor amenity space that's kind of lacking in this property. So with COVID coming into effect, you know, I guess the need for some outdoor space has kind of increased. As you know, I'm sure there's lots of applications being put forward for all sorts of properties with, you know, outdoor living spaces or outdoor semi-living spaces. So what we're proposing here is really just a deck that's been covered, so to protect it from the leaves and the rain, and they can have an extended use of space throughout the seasons.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So the various, no problem.
I have more. Do you have more to add, sir? Please proceed.
Well, really, I was just going to say that, you know, the proposed projection for the deck, the increase that we're requesting from what's allowed is a 2.14 meter increase from what's permitted to what is proposed. And the lot coverage, which seems to be a big sticking point in this neighborhood, we want to be really clear that it's really just for the deck. And the only reason that that is considered as deck coverage is because of the height of the deck in relation to the grade. And it's just that the way the building was developed to begin with, there is no opportunity to lower the deck because then it will impact with the walkout basement that is shown on this site plan or on this floor plan.
Okay, thank you, sir. Are there any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next. We have next person on our list. I have an Ed Martin. Are you there, sir?
Mr. Chair, I have Ed on speakerphone here.
Okay.
Okay, Ed, you can start.
Mr. Martin?
Hello?
Ed, you can start.
Yes, yes, sure. I'm trying to, the reason I'm objecting is that the proposed deck and it's coming out too far close to my property. And I don't have a problem of them actually making the deck and covering it. The reason is I have a large patio window door, and this increased deck will actually invade my privacy. That's the only reason I'm objecting to it.
Mr. Martin, can we have your address, please?
Sorry?
Can we have your address, please?
Yeah, 71 Setback Avenue.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, it was very hard to hear that, but I guess you can respond to the gentleman's comments.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused because if it's 71, I believe he's on the other side of the street, so I don't know how the deck would impact his privacy. Having said that, you know, we took that into consideration because when we went back to the committee, or when we were at the committee 2 years ago, the overlook was a concern by the committee members. And so moving forward with this, we didn't want to come to committee and waste, you know, everybody's time and have a failed application. We want to create an application that would be satisfactory to both staff, the committee, and to the neighborhood. And so that's why we proposed the privacy fencing on both sides to create privacy for both, for our clients and for the neighbors to both sides of them. So I'm
thank
not
you.
sure, unless I'm not seeing the property correctly, but I believe it's on the other side of the street.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Kidd?
I think the last speaker was at 71 Athabasca. He must be a rear adjoiner, I think.
That's correct.
Oh, is
He
that
is to the
correct?
back.
I want to see.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposed variances are minor, and I feel that they meet the 4 tests for the minor variance. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the conditions that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment as attachment 1 to the planning staff report dated March 15th, 2021, and also that subject to the condition that a 1.8 meter high privacy fence shall be maintained on the east and west side of the proposed rear deck.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 39, 10 Evergreen Gardens. I have one person registered to speak, Gianna Regina. Are you there, madam?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Regina, my mistake.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you. I note that we only have one recommended condition from staff, and that's from Urban Forestry. We have no one else registered to speak on your on your 3 variances. Pretty clear what you're asking for, sir. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee? Pardon me. That is
just a quick highlight that we did go back to, my client has gone back and we've redesigned this whole building so that we can, cooperate not only with the planning department, but also with the Save Our Bennington group. And you may have seen the letter of support from the group. I think they've been satisfied with what we've done and how we redesigned this. Saying that the 3 items, I believe, are minor nature and they meet the 4 tests.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. It's a straightforward, simple variances and obeying the zoning bylaws. Therefore, I move it should be approved with the forestry conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Community Panel. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Item number 40, 59 Forest Heights Boulevard. I have one person registered to speak. That is a Jonah Bond. Are you there?
Yes, sir, I am present.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
sir. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. I just note that you have 4 variances before us. I note that we have no staff comments or recommended conditions on file with your application. Is there anything, a pretty straightforward application in my view, so is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't in the material we have before us today?
No, I have nothing further to add. I'm simply here to respond to any questions as they may arise, but I don't have a formal presentation unless one is required.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I think that it's very straightforward and very modest in nature. I believe that it meets the 4 tests. I'm going to motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Last
Bye-bye.
application, we have item number 4115 Hesketh Court. I have one person registered to speak. That's Eric Hayden. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Mr. Hayden, I have a report from City Planning dated the 17th of March. They're recommending refusal. I have a report from Transportation Services, and that is dated 17th of March. They're also recommending a deferral. They're looking for, they require additional supporting information from the applicant. They want a drawing for the garage with the dimensions of the parking space labeled and all obstructions identified. And so they are asking for a deferral. Would you like and we also have a letter from Councillor Min Wong dated the 22nd of March recommending refusal. Would you like to proceed today, or would you like to defer the application to discuss these issues with staff?
If city staff are recommending a deferral, then we will defer it to provide the necessary information.
Oh, so you'd like to do a deferral?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can I have a motion regarding the deferral, please, Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I think that was a wise choice to deal with transportation issues as well as to talk to city staff. I'll motion to approve this deferral, sine die.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can meet with City Planning and Transportation Services. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, committee.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to terminate, folks? Thank you. You guys are real troopers, you know. This is a long day. Thanks very much.
You too. Bye, everyone.